stands for.
Send in that new recruit.
You're advised, new recruit, fresh from the nest. Junior Birdman reporting, sir.
Where are they coming up with these raw recruits?
Raw eggs?
What's that?
Oh, raw eggs, sir.
What's this?
Raw eggshell, I was just hatched.
Now, do you know the mission of our squadron, the Eagle Express?
Yes, sir. People call us up and ask us to deliver packages that absolutely, positively, without question, unequivocally have to be someplace the next morning.
Right.
Early afternoon, the latest, sir.
Now, as your commanding officer, it's my duty to teach you everything you have to know about this business. This is a map.
This is a map. Will there be anything else, or can I go now, sir?
See this? This is where we are, Detroit, Motown.
Yes.
Now, we have to fly a package over to here.
Ooh, Chicago. Well, that shouldn't take very long. I can reach it with my 2 feathers.
One of the first things you have to realize about maps is they're drawn to scale.
Scale.
Scale. This is a scale. Every inch on this map represents 50 miles.
Wow, I never learned that.
Well, it's hard to learn much inside an egg.
Yes, I know. Eventually, a person just has to break out of her shell.
So, if 1 inch represents 50 miles, measure this and figure out how far you have to fly.
Oh, yes, sir. It's 5 inches, sir.
1 inch stands for 50 miles.
So, 5 inches means 250 miles. Oh, so I'm going to solo, take my baby flight. I have to go up in the air and fly all the way to Chicago.
No, I'm going to Chicago.
Oh, phew.
You're taking another trip.
Where am I going?
To Tulsa. Work it out on this map here.
Oh, sir, can I help you out the window watch you fly?
Are you kidding? Air traffic being what it is today, I'm taking a cab.
Good luck, sir.
Taxi!
Coming back to town, I'd like to see you. I know it's been a long, long time. I don't know how to get there since you moved, but I have directions from a friend of mine. It's 5 miles right and 5 miles left and a mile down the road. I'll come past a tree and wait for a light.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He's a wily old veteran. I bet that fur can do just about anything. After all, he taught me everything I know. And I better put that knowledge to work. Now, he told me to use that map over there. And he told me that I have to get the package to Tulsa. Now, he said that I am here, Detroit, and let's see, Tulsa is down here in Oklahoma. Uh-oh, I'm way up here, and it's way down there. Ooh. Sir, are you all right?
Oh, sure. Fine.
Well, how was Chicago?
As usual, a toddling town.
Oh.
The Cubs are playing baseball today.
Yeah? Did you get to watch the game?
Oh, sure. I circled Wrigley Field. That's how I got this schlugging knot on my beak.
From watching a baseball game?
Yeah. The Cubs were down by 1 run in the bottom of the ninth with a man on third. 2 outs. Their batter comes up to bat, hits a high fly to center field, and the ball cocks me right in the beezer, drops straight down. The center fielder gloves it. The game's over. And why aren't you in Tulsa?
Oh, I'm going, sir. I was just figuring out the distance. Now, you told me to measure the distance between Detroit and Tulsa. Okay? It's 8 inches. Now, we gotta use that thing called scale. Now, you said that each inch represents 50 miles. So in order to find out how many miles 8 inches is in real life, I multiply 8 times 50. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 50 is 400. That means I gotta fly 400 miles to get to Tulsa. That doesn't seem right.
I'm glad you said that. Now, look. Here's Detroit,
Yes?
and here's where I flew, Chicago.
Yes, and you said it was 250 miles.
Roger. Now, here's Detroit,
Yes?
and all the way over here's Tulsa.
Oh, it seems a lot further than Chicago.
It sure does. But you said it's 400 miles. That's only 150 more than I flew.
Doesn't figure, does it?
When you stop to think about it, it sure doesn't.
I guess I just didn't think.
10 hut! What scales use, Private?
Say what you did, sir. 1 inch represents 50 miles, sir.
But you're using a different map than I did.
Well, what's that got to do with anything, sir?
Everything. Maps can have different scales.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, now you do. Before you can read a map correctly, you gotta look at the scale. Now check the scale on the map you're using.
It says 1 inch represents 100 miles. Wow, this map is different, huh?
Mm-hmm. So, you said the distance from Detroit on the map to Tulsa was what?
8 inches, sir.
So to figure out the real distance...
I multiply 8 times 100. That's 800 miles, sir.
That's right. You have 800 miles to fly to deliver your package. I figure you can do it in about 12 hours. Ready to go, kid?
Yes, sir. 12 hours.
Uh-huh.
How long you figure it would take to walk it, sir?
Wow. I don't know, about a month. Why?
I flunked flying class.
Why me?
You see, but I passed walking. I got to see mine as I would have done better, but I tripped on the midterm, you see. And then I was asking for a makeover, and I tripped, sir. When they say I have to be there in the morning, they don't mean like
Robin.
tomorrow morning, do they?
Get me a 747. Give me a homing pigeon.
I'm afraid of heights.
Get me a
If you ever have to pull a stove around a park, you better realize what lane you're in.
From around the globe, around the clock, and around 200 grand per advertising minute, it's the wild, wild world of sports you've never heard of.
It's my hair. Hi, everybody. Bud Mudd here. And today we're bringing you a sport nobody ever heard of. The 450-yard heavyweight kitchen appliance pull. And it promises to be just as exciting as always. Joining us on the course is Paula George Moldy. And here in the booth with me is my new color commentator, O.J. Polk. What do you got to say, O.J.?
Red, blue.
That's great. That's great. Now, Paula, what do you got to tell us about today's race?
Well, Bud, we've got a big field today. A big field with only 2 competitors. First, there's Arnie Blinsk from Minsk, who today will be pulling this deluxe self-defrosting refrigerator.
Danica!
Next, we have Berta Thunder Dunder from Yonkers, who today will be hauling this vintage all-electric stove. Unfortunately, last year's champ could not be with us today. It seems his 2-ton crock pot broke down on the way to the race. Ah, well, good luck to our 2 competitors.
Right you are, Paula, huh? That refrigerator looks pretty strong to me. What do you think? And now, Paula, tell us about the course.
Well, Bud, as you can see, the course is laid out in a rectangle. Measuring along the white line, the dimensions are 90 yards by 135 yards. That means the length of the course is 450 yards.
Now, let me get this straight. The length of the course is just the perimeter of this rectangle.
That's right, Bud. 90 plus 135, that's 225. And 90 plus 135 again for another 225. A total of 450 yards.
Just like she said, 450 yards. And these folks are going to pull their appliances all that way. Gosh. What do you have to say, color commentator?
Well, you know, it's magenta. Well, with a little aqua, you know.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, it looks like the race is just about to begin. Let's go to the starting line. And they're off! Gosh, look at them go. OJ?
Oh, since it's violet, it's a shocking pink.
Paula, how does it look to you?
But the competitors are in a dead heat. Arnie, what's your strategy? Mincemeat!
Wow. Do you really have magical powers?
But of course, I have summoned up the spirits of the ancestors. I have foretold the future. I have made a spare out of a 7-10 split.
Wow.
I shall demonstrate my powers by reading your mind.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Think of your age.
Okay.
Do you have the number firmly in your mind?
Yes, I do.
Good. Now add 10 to that number.
Add 10. Okay.
Now multiply by 2.
Multiply by 2. Okay.
Good. What number do you have now?
70.
Very, very good. Now, by gazing into my crystal ball, I can see your age is 25.
That's amazing.
But of course. Now be gone. I must consult the spirit.
Right. But can I come back?
Okay. So you figured out how I guessed his age. I just divided 70 by 2, getting 35. And then I subtracted 10 from that. I'm really a lousy fortune teller. But it's like I tell my friends down at the bowling alley, some people will believe anything.
Everybody, Bud and OJ back again for the exciting finish of the 450-yard heavyweight kitchen appliance bowl. Let's go quickly to Paula George Mobley on the course.
But the crowd is going crazy. As the dark horse, Arnie Blinsk, is just about to... Yes, he's done it! He's crossed the finish line!
How about that, OJ? OJ, your paycheck, sir.
Olive green.
But wait, there seems to be some sort of...
Bud, the officials aren't saying, but I think I may know what this is about. Arnie may not have actually finished the race.
Impossible, Paula. We saw it ourselves. He crossed the finish line. I mean, how can that be? Hey, he crossed the finish line!
Yes, but look at this. Arnie pulled the whole race on the inside lane while Berta pulled along the outside lane. Do you remember that we said the 450-yard course was measured along the white center line?
Go on.
Well, if I know my officials, they're pointing out that since the lanes are 5 yards wide...
Oh, I'm catching on. So instead of going the full 90 yards by 135 yards...
Arnie's course was shorter on each of the 4 sides. He's gone less than the full 450 yards. He hasn't completed the race.
Whereas Berta traveled further on each of the 4 sides. By now, she's gone more than 450 yards, which means Berta is the winner. How about that?
Right you are, Bud.
Thank you, Paula. Well, it's certainly been an appliance poll to remember. Till next week, then, when we come to you from the East Weehawken Dandelion Digging Olympics. This is Bud Mudd, Paula George Mobley, and O.J. Pulp saying so long.
See you soon.
This much of the show is over. Don't despair. There's this much yet to come.
The story you are about to see is a fib, but it's short. The names are made up, but the problems are real.
This is the city. Los Angeles, California, 5:47 p.m. And the day that began 3 hours earlier in New York was, as usual, tired by the time I got to L.A. We were working the day watch out of Mathnet and were involved in a mystery. The mystery of the Maltese Pigeon, a rare sculpture worth a king's ransom. We'd been asked by its owner, Maureen O'Reilly, to make the exhibition room in the museum secure. Ms. O'Reilly felt there were men, desperate men, who wanted to steal it from her. My partner is George Franklin. The boss is Thad Green. My name is Monday. I'm a mathematician. We decided to look at a couple of scenes from yesterday's show to refresh our memories. What times will your exhibit be open, Ms. O'Reilly?
From 5 till 8 for the next 3 days.
3 hours a day for 3 days.
That's a total of 9 hours in all.
If we move 50 people in and out in, let's say, what's a good guess?
I don't know. How long would you guess that people might like to look at the bird, Ms. O'Reilly?
Well, I suppose that depends on how fascinating they find it. But as a rough estimate, I'd say 5 minutes.
Okay. 50 people in 5 minutes. There are 12 5-minute segments in 1 hour. That's 12 groups.
12 groups of 50.
12 fives are 60. So 600 people can see the bird every hour, Ms. O'Reilly.
Oh, that would be a thrill.
We knew we had secured the Maltese Pigeon, and it was beyond any danger. Then we got a phone call.
Mathnet, frankly. Oh. Hello, Marine. How's everything? What? We'll be right there.
What is it?
The Maltese Pigeon has been stolen.
We went back to the exhibit room at the museum to look for some facts. The bird was taken from a locked room which no one could get into or out of. 2 questions. Who did it, and how?
Steve, are you absolutely positive that no one entered?
That's right, George. And no one came through Sam's door either.
Impossible. Someone had to not only get in, but also get out with the bird.
When did you miss it, Miss O'Reilly?
Well, we opened the doors at exactly 5 p.m. I was the first person into the room, leading the first group of 50 people. The door opened, and my bird was gone.
What did you do then, Marine?
Well, I'm afraid I did something rather untoward.
She screamed. Then she fainted.
Are you all right? I mean, you didn't faint on anything, did you?
Who do you suspect might have taken it?
It had to be either Jasper Stoutman or Noel Sphinx.
Who are they?
The 2 desperate men I was telling you about in yesterday's episode.
Stop at nothing?
The same. They've been after the Maltese Pigeon for nearly 15 years. They've traced it to the 4 corners of the earth.
But what makes you sure it was them? They.
It had to be. They're the only ones who know the true value of the bird.
Could you give me its dimensions? Perhaps we could figure out exactly what it's worth.
It's about 11 inches long by 6 inches high.
It really doesn't matter, George. It's a priceless piece of art.
Priceless? Doesn't everything have a price?
No, there are some things on which you can't put a price. It's hundreds of years old, it's delicate crystal, and its glass encase is a fantastic sapphire.
I see what you mean.
George, Kate, I found this young man snooping around the exhibit room.
I meant no harm. I was just curious.
Can't be.
What do you mean, Miss O'Reilly?
His name is?
Noel Sphinx.
Junior.
Then you have a father. Named Noel Sphinx.
Senior, yes.
Yeah, senior.
And you know this young man, Miss O'Reilly?
I know. Knew. He looks like a man I used to know. A man who is in hot pursuit of
the Maltese Pigeon. Yes, that was my father. He died in his quest.
I'm terribly sorry.
My brother had a 72 Quest. Got bad mileage, but said it handled well.
Is it true your father was on the trail of the Maltese Pigeon?
Oh, yes, it was his mission in life, and now it is mine.
Noel. Don't begin this insanity. You're young. You have your whole life in front of you.
She's right, Noel.
I know, but I need the bird.
Then how do we know...
Know what?
That you don't already have it? How do we know you didn't steal the bird?
If I had, would I be here now?
He has a point. But who then?
The stout man.
The stout man, Jasper Stoutman, the man I was speaking of.
Yes, but how do we know he was here?
I'm sure he was. I felt it in my bones.
Your bones felt right. He was here. I saw him drive up.
Know where he lives?
No, I've been looking for him and he can't be found.
Noel, did he come into the exhibit?
No, ma'am. He looked at the commotion going on and drove away.
Rats. Sure wish we had his license plate number. What's this?
Maybe it's Stoutman's license plate.
I doubt it. It's too small.
We talked with Debbie Williams, head of our computer lab. We asked her to check the license number Noel had given us in hopes of finding an address for the Stoutman. Jasper Stoutman.
Any luck, Debbie?
Just a minute. I've accessed a database of the Department of Motor Vehicles.
What will they give you, Debbie?
The computers at the DMV have records of every car registered in California. They can tell us who the car with the license number ADX21N belongs to.
Where that someone lives?
That's right.
What have you found?
Here it is. ADX21N is owned by one Mr. Jasper Stoutman.
And your computer has an address on him?
Here you go. Number 1 Cherry Blossom Lane. That's in Hancock Park.
Pretty fancy neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
It's where Pia Zadora lives, I think.
Thanks, Debbie. Let's get Maureen O'Reilly and pay Mr. Stoutman a visit. George and I drove quickly but carefully to the address Debbie had pulled for us. The neighborhood and Stoutman's house were nearly as impressive as Stoutman himself. Mr. Stoutman?
Yes, it is I.
Monday.
Frankly.
Mathnet.
Maureen O'Reilly.
Well, sir, as I live and breathe, Miss O'Reilly. It is you, by gad.
May we speak with you, sir?
Certainly. Do come in, please. To your left, if you will.
The home's interior screamed out in an understated elegance.
Do sit down, please. Let me guess the subject, if I may. Now then, it's about the bird, isn't it?
What makes you say that, Mr. Stoutman?
A man with a question. I like a man who asks a question straight out. Shows he doesn't have the answer and isn't afraid to admit it. Ask questions all your life, young man. It's a good way to get answers.
How did you know we were interested in the bird, sir?
Miss O'Reilly gave it away. It's all she ever thinks about, talks about, does anything about. Isn't that right, Miss O'Reilly?
Yes. Stoutman, I have a question about the Maltese Pigeon. Where is it?
I believe it was you who purported to have the bird. Didn't I read somewhere that you were going to exhibit it?
I was going to, but it was stolen.
How very unfortunate. Have you a suspect in mind?
She thinks you took it, Mr. Stoutman.
Get! You are a character, sir. No beating around the bush. I like a man who...
I want it back.
I don't have it, and you know I don't have it, my dear Miss O'Reilly. And I'll tell you something else.
What's that?
You never did have the bird.
Yes, she did, Mr. Stoutman. I saw it.
Impossible! What you saw must have been a fake. I don't have the bird. Feel free to search the house and grounds if you wish. I must away. I have an important meeting.
It wouldn't by any chance be with a young man named Noel Sphinx.
At Mr. Stoutman's request, we searched his house for the bird. We looked everywhere and came up with nothing. We dropped Ms. O'Reilly off at her place of business, a swanky catering company specializing in Nouvelle cuisine for the rich and famous. She thanked George, bid us adieu, and we called it a day. Next morning, we got an early start. This problem is getting more and more mysterious, George.
I would have sworn that Stoutman had the bird.
But he didn't.
Well, that leaves the kid, Noel Sphinx. Maybe we ought to pick him up for questioning.
Good idea. Maybe he can give us some facts.
Frankly, Mathnet. Oh, yes. Good morning, Mr. Stoutman. What? I see. We'll be right out.
Stoutman?
Uh-huh. He had the Maltese Pigeon after all.
Well, the case is solved. Let's go get it and give it back to Ms. O'Reilly.
Good idea, except for one thing. While he was out last night, someone stole the pigeon from him.
Dodecahedron. Sound like something that somebody from a donut shop would just put together.
Say, isn't that an ambulatory 3-ring carving moth on your third elbow?
You are one sneaky man, you Blackstonian.
Mr. Stoutman, why is that bird so valuable? There are probably lots of crystal pigeons in the world with sapphires in their tummies.
Not likely, Mr. Frankly.
100% of Square One TV is a production of the Children's Television Workshop. This program was made possible by grants